Hi, my name is Tyson Butler-Boschma. I'm a co-founder of Toybox Game Studios and the creative director behind our exciting project, Primordials Legends Hollow Hero, our first installment in a brand new fantasy universe. Today, I have the great pleasure of taking you through this special behind-the-scenes preview of Hollow Hero. Throughout the past year, our dedicated team has poured our hearts and souls into the development of Hollow Hero, and in this presentation, we will delve into a myriad of aspects, including the latest game enhancements, the invaluable insights we've received from our player community, and the introduction of innovative mechanics and systems that promise to add a whole new level of dynamic gameplay to our beloved Combat Wombat. Join me as we explore the incredible strides we've made in Hollow Hero's development, revealing a world brimming with excitement and adventure. Together, we'll unveil the magic behind our creative process and the remarkable evolution of our game. I extend a heartfelt thank you to the Melbourne International Game Week's Steam Fest event organisers for granting us the opportunity to showcase our work, and of course a sincere thank you to our wonderful community for being an integral part of this extraordinary journey. Let's dive in. I'd like to start by providing you with a breakdown of who we are at Toybox, what Hollow Hero as a game entails, and also delve into some of the game's story and themes. At Toybox Game Studios, we strive to play an essential role in the Australian gaming industry by creating exceptional and high-quality experiences for players worldwide. To achieve this, Hollow Hero will serve as our flagship title, drawing upon our team's extensive industry experience in game development and VFX, gained while working on some of the world's largest intellectual properties. With Primordials Legends Hollow Hero, our team's goal is to lay the foundations of the Primordials universe, introducing players to compelling characters, stunning environments, and an unforgettable story. We aim to construct a rich and immersive world that players can explore and experience. By establishing a solid foundation through Hollow Hero, we intend to create a narrative that will continue to evolve and grow over time. Hollow Hero itself tells the tale of Brunt, an anthropomorphic wombat, and her first adventure outside of her home, the Hollow. The game can be broken down into three foundational pillars that guide our development. Pillar 1 is gameplay. The gameplay of Primordials Legends Hollow Hero centres around platforming, combat, and a variety of challenging puzzles. Our focus lies in creating a game that is exhilarating to play. While developing this single-player linear experience, we've drawn inspiration from various sources to refine what makes an epic adventure game. Pillar 2 is Brunt herself. With her imposing presence and intimidating physique, players take control of Brunt as she embarks on an epic journey through the beautiful fantasy world of Eridal. Brunt is a misunderstood creature due to her size and strength, but ultimately, she is selfless and willing to sacrifice everything for those she loves. Pillar 3 is the world and its story. Eridal is a world that is abundant with life and inhabited by anthropomorphic animals. Shrouded in mystery, it holds many secrets, including mystical godlike creatures known as the legendary Primordials, who can control the elements. Brunt's journey is just one of many legends within this universe's lore. Hidden secrets, unexplored locations, and unsolved mysteries await players around every corner. You will uncover the origins of the world and meet new legends that will help shape the future of Eridal. Now, with the basics covered, let's dive into Hollow Hero and play through the opening section of the game. This will provide you with a glimpse of what you can expect to experience as a player when the full game is released. Alrighty, so back, now we're playing through a kind of like demo playthrough of where we currently are with Hollow Hero. This will be a little less formal than how I've been speaking recently. Obviously it's a playthrough and I kind of just want to talk candidly with you all. But yeah, basically we're going through this demo and yeah, we're going to check out kind of where we're at now, the updates we've made since PAX Australia last year, and as we go through it I'll kind of be talking about our development process and just a few interesting things that we've kind of done over the past year while working on the game. Now, for the most part, I will be attempting to avoid speaking during cinematics and stuff like that, or whenever there's basically dialogue and spoken words being spoken within the game. So in general, I'll be quiet during those moments and then pick it back up after those, cinematics have played.
You called for me?
Indeed. I find myself in need of information.
Well, you know I could never turn down a request from you. What can I do for you?
There are powers in this world I wish to control, and I believe many of them to be locked away in your memories.
I see. What are these powers you speak of?
The legends, Eldar.
You wish to hear a legend? I do know those stories well, having lived through many of them myself. But I never would have thought you to have interest in such tales.
You should know as well as anyone the power those stories hold. I believe them to be the key in the battles to come.
Very well. Then tell me, which legend do you wish to hear?
I've heard tell of a legend about a beast overcoming a great and powerful foe. They say it was of immense size, unlike any of its kind ever seen before.
Ah, so you want to hear the tale of my own daughter. It is quite the story.
I left the Hollow hours ago. I must be getting close to the camp by now. Dad said to just keep following the mushrooms. Wow. It's breathtaking out here. To think that this is what lies beyond the Hollow Woods. I guess I never expected I'd ever have to leave.
Alright, so here we are in the opening section of the first level of Primordials Legends Hollow Hero. You'll probably have already noticed if you played the game last year that we've added new introductory cinematics and things like that. A lot of the things I'll be talking about today as I'm sort of like playing through the game here is kind of the things that we've taken as feedback from you, the players, and how we've sort of like added that in as developers to try and improve the quality of the game overall.
What is that? Are they the insect Scout was talking about?
So yeah, a big part of that was like one of the main bits of feedback that we got from players as we were playing through last year was that they really disliked the walking section that we had at the start and things like that. They also really disliked the fact that in the few cinematics that we did have available, we also couldn't skip those things. So a lot of the things that we've done early on in the game here, other than sort of like graphical updates to the mushrooms that we just ran past and things like that, have been of a nature in order to improve the player experience. And that's kind of true on a global scenario. Everything that we've kind of done, we've done based on trying to sort of take the game to that next level, while continuing development in a general sense. But also just like really trying to push it in a way that makes the game feel a lot more polished and complete. Yeah, so one of the things, a skippable cutscene. The other, introducing a cinematic at the start that allows us to kind of continue to have that sort of opening story beat that we want, but also allow players to sort of power forward if that's something that they want to do. Through here, this is all stuff that we've kind of showed off a little bit before, but for those of you who are new to Hollow Hero as a project, those crystal beacons back there kind of act as our checkpoints within the world. And yeah, those are basically where you'll respawn if you fail a mission or die within a combat instance.
The Hollow looks beautiful. beautiful.
It's funny just looking at that cinematic as
guess
well.
I never
Again, it
realised
is
there
worth
was so much
stating
trouble
that everything you're
outside.
looking at here is a work in progress.
Our
This game is
home
subject to change.
really is
Her facial animations there are very much placeholder, and it's funny just seeing her bottom jaw sort of hinge up and down. But yeah, that's kind of where we are with things right now, but it is giving a cool sense of kind of the cinematic scale we're going for. Now, a thing here that you'll see that is something that we've improved a lot based on player feedback, which will be a lot more obvious later on, is simple things like her
Easy.
stickiness as
I
she
can
lands
totally
jumps.
do this.
We ran into situations where basically the players were falling off rocks and stuff, and it made her Brunt feel as a
wasn't so
character
easy.
very floaty when she's meant to be a large character. So that's one thing that we've improved upon as we progress through the game.
Okay. Stay calm. Just
I'm going to skip us forward a little bit so that we can continue the gameplay as we head down into the undergrounds of Eridal. Alrighty, so we're back in the undergrounds of Eridal here, and we've just managed to heal up after a pretty nasty fall into this cavern, and we're able to progress forward. Now, just at this point here, a cool little thing you'll notice is how it was very snappy and quick to get you up on that ledge. Another issue we've had with like gameplay testing and stuff was that, you know, players were saying how it often felt like you weren't able to make jumps and certain things like that. It was really important for us to make sure that like this game felt snappy and responsive, and considering platforming is an important part of our gameplay, it was equally important to make sure that those things felt good. So one of the things that we've been actively working on with Brunt is just really like tightening up a lot of that movement in order to make it feel responsive and snappy, so that like right here, when she jumps up, it's a nice and smooth ledge up that it kind of takes away the risk of kind of missing a jump or making it just feel not quite as responsive as you might hope. And we've done that across the board through this entire game. So as I'm running through this cave, you can see that you know, I'm about to get to this wall climb and stuff like that, and also even this has got like our new climbing system and stuff that's designed to be far more responsive than it has been in the past. Even just the way that you get attached to the wall and the way that you can move around it just makes sure that we don't run into issues we've had in the past with like clipping through walls and stuff.
I can do this.
This is an especially cool moment where we've just put in little like quality of life details where when you land a giant jump and end up on a vine wall, she starts to like slide down like you might not make it. We've drawn inspiration from games like Uncharted and Tomb Raider for moments like that, which we feel really add a level of impact and weight to Brunt as a character. I think it's like really, really cool. Here we see one of the trap systems. Now, what's really cool about this is obviously, you know, another big pillar of our game is storytelling in the world. There is a lot to this world that Brunt isn't familiar with, and you know, through environmental storytelling, we're going to start opening that up more and more as she progresses through the world. I won't discuss much of it here, but that is something to definitely keep an eye out for. Personally, me as a creative, I'm a huge fan of environmental storytelling that is just subtle, and we've got that littered all throughout the game. Here we see one of our brand new mechanics that we've introduced, which is the shield throw. A very, very satisfying mechanic that we've recently added as a way to kind of give the player the opportunity. It's kind of just a badass mechanic, if I'm being honest, and in that way it's very, very cool. But we also wanted to avoid situations where the player might have needed, say, we had like rocks in the past, and if they didn't have those rocks, they wouldn't be able to necessarily complete a puzzle. Thanks to, you know, the ruberoid crystal that's on the end of Brunt's staff there, and thanks to having her shield, which is also magical, it allows us to do a lot of things that wouldn't necessarily make sense, and kind of just like explain it away with, you know, it's magic sort of thing. And thanks to that, it allows us to create some really cool mechanics within the game.
This might be a good place to take a rest.
Here we see some of our like interactive systems, you know, a simple button that like opens a door. Obviously this is the first level in the game, so that isn't an incredibly complex system, but as you progress further through the game, the puzzles and the systems in which, you know, are in place in order for you to open doors become more and more complex. Moving into this section is a really good opportunity for us to talk about combat, which has also
like I'm
gone
going to have
through
to
a massive
fight
amount of
my
work. On top of introducing things like the shield throw and introducing, a counter like you can see there, we've also got our crystals, which you can see I've got 3 of them. Those kind of act like utility stun items. The best way I could describe it is kind of like a stun grenade, I guess. But they act in a way that don't damage the same way that a shield does, but if I actually hit the bat here... you can see that little explosion sort of stuns it and brings the bat down, and that's really effective for dealing with like ranged enemies that want to fly above your head. The other thing we've done as well, and this was more feedback that we got from PAX, was basically the idea that when fighting, like players last year were enjoying it, but they'd often run into situations where they might miss an attack or something like that, and it would feel non-responsive as a result, or kind of sluggish. So we were dealing with like two fronts, where on one hand she felt kind of sluggish as a character, and then on the other hand she felt too floaty in a platforming sense. So the way we solve those problems is by implementing cool little systems like when our enemy gets attacked, it actually sort of pushes the enemy back in front of Brunt, so that each time you attack, it opens you up to be able to continue the combo. And as a result, we've been able to make combat feel a lot more crunchy and a lot more interesting, which just in general makes it more fun to play. It also makes it feel like you're making less mistakes as a player. It's that classic sort of like, power dynamic and that sense of power that we wanted to create. This particular area here was an area where players failed a lot in the PAX demo. You can see now that she's like landing with a lot more sort of like consistency and weight. As a result, that means that, she can, she can land confidently, and players aren't going to like run into situations where they can't necessarily get past levels because of, the fact that Brunt was basically falling off of rocks, even though that isn't what we really intended to happen. Another fire trap to get past here. And we're about to introduce you to a brand new system which we teased during our trailer at Future Game Show. But this is the first instance of us showing it off in gameplay. So what we have here is called Ruberoid Rage. It's basically Brunt's ultimate mode, where she surrounds herself in an like a body-like armor, surrounds herself with the crystal that is the magical properties of our world, and she can use that to rapidly increase her speed and then massively increase her sort of durability and her offensive power as well. It also gives her, abilities like these crystal javelins, which are kind of the best of both worlds. When you mix the shield throw and the crystal throw, it kind of not only acts as a damaging item, but it also has a stun. And then obviously we've got this really cool sort of like, crystal tomb that we can create and like sort of bring up from the ground in order to sort of trap enemies and then crush them from the inside. It's all about, again, feeding into that sort of like power fantasy, where there can be situations where Brunt can be overwhelmed, but she is meant to represent a powerful character within this world. And we like the idea that it's basically through numbers that things are mainly going to be, that's mainly what's going to be the thing that affects Brunt in her ability to sort of complete this journey. Now, right now, you saw one of our first enemies that we didn't actually show off at PAX last year, which was the Wasps. Now, we've shown them a lot in the trailer, and they're actually the main enemy type that you'll be facing in the game. But yeah, the bats in this section kind of act as an introduction to combat, but as you'll see in a little bit, we actually have many different forms of enemy, and it's the different types of enemy that start to create the new and interesting gameplay beyond just the kind of bat which acts like a cannon fodder for you to kind of just whack on until you're satisfied. Coming up to this section here, we see the second of a kind of trap, whereas instead of a consistent flame, you're getting basically fireballs. We can use this as an opportunity to actually reflect or counter attacks, which can actually destroy that trap. And we also use this as an opportunity to teach the player that if they haven't figured it out yet, they can actually counter attacks that allow for like really powerful sort of reversals. It's important that we show these things to the player, and these are the kind of things we've considered in the background. Alright, cool. Again, in the interest of time, we're just going to project forward a little bit, and then, yeah, I'm going to show you kind of a last little section which we haven't really showed much publicly, and that'll give you an idea of kind of the complexity of combat that we're hoping to show within the game. Now, this is a cool section where we've kind of built it, I wouldn't say this is a final layout for kind of this enemy encounter, but we have laid it out in such a way that we can kind of showcase a bunch of the really cool enemies that we've got. So what you saw there was the standard Wasp melee enemies. They just kind of come at you and attack you. They don't really have like a ton of logic to them. These enemies here are the ranged Wasps, and they shoot like toxic, you know, bolts at you. It's really, really cool. They, by their nature, actually try to avoid you a lot. So they're not nearly as strong as other Wasp variants, but they can be very, very dangerous if you don't deal with them quickly. In this particular instance, there's only 2 range Wasps, so it's obviously, you know, what I'm focusing on. But as you get into situations where there might just be one of them off in the distance, I guess they kind of act like the sniper of the Wasp sort of, you know, army, for lack of a better term. And yeah, if you don't deal with them quickly, they can be devastating in the middle of a fight. Again, while we're focusing on the idea that Brunt is meant to feel like this very powerful character, there is like technique to beating particular enemy types, and these here are another perfect example of that, which are the slammers. Now, I haven't shown much in regards to sort of like burrowing combat, but these guys are notorious for putting you out of the ground if you try and fight them while underground. They also are very good at like knocking you back, so if they hit you in the back while you're not really paying attention, that can be big trouble. Here we have the charges. These are an especially cool sort of Wasp variant, which we designed to kind of be like a rhinoceros. You can see we've been throwing the shield, and I've been trying to like attack with my basic attack, and I wasn't actually able to do anything. That's because they're an armored variant. Now, there I was using a heavy attack in order to, you know, basically break the armor off, and once you've done that, I can then proceed to like, you know, using light attacks in order to take down the enemy. Again, these things individually aren't too complex, but once combined in like multiple groups, which I'm keen to show you in a little bit, it can be incredibly difficult to sort of deal with them in the correct order based on what you're trying to do. These Wasps there, basically explosive characters. They're really cool because you can kind of use them to lure other Wasps to their death to explode. But also, you know, you kind of just want to get away from them. They can be very deadly. And here we see a situation where I'm taking on every single Wasp, and they're kind of kicking my butt, but thanks to having Ruberoid Rage in this particular instance, I'm very, very resistant to damage, and I can take down a lot of enemies. Even the charges, which have got like their armored plating, actually get damaged straight away with any attack that I'm using during Ruberoid Rage. Now, in this particular instance for the tutorial, we have actually like given me sort of like developer god powers and given me unlimited Ruberoid Rage, but in the game in a normal context, that won't be the case. You'll have to properly manage this resource, which will be, you know, it'll increase as you fight in your normal mode, but you can use this as a way to kind of like, yeah, get yourself out of a sticky situation. A lot of people have coined this game jokingly as God of Wombat, and that's because obviously there is a lot of inspiration as an indie team that we've drawn from like God of War for this, and we keep that in mind. So if you're familiar with that game and you kind of understand how Spartan Rage works, it's kind of similar in this regard as well. But it's really, really cool. And with that, we actually come to the end of this demo and what I've been able to show you. I hope this has at least been a little bit insightful about kind of, you know, what we're thinking about. It was very fast-paced, so I wasn't able to go in-depth with regards to kind of what we're planning, but it just shows that, yeah, we take a lot of consideration to, you know, what you tell us as a community and what we try to do to actively improve gameplay as we move through. I hope you've enjoyed this short demo. Cheers. And with that, we've come to the conclusion of our short preview. I hope you enjoyed this glimpse into the work we're doing at Toybox, and look forward to when we can place the game into your hands upon its release in the near future. If you'd like to learn more about the project or stay updated on the game's development, be sure to follow us on our social media. And if you liked what you saw here today, you can wishlist the game now on Steam. It would mean the world to us. For now, on behalf of all of us at Toybox Game Studios, thank you for your continued support, and have an awesome Melbourne International Games Week. We'll see you soon at PAX Australia. Cheers.
Eridal, a world both beautiful and mysterious, is the birthplace of legends beyond our comprehension. My dearest daughter, these legends I share with you now are the key in the battles to come, and will shape the fate of Eridal's very soul. Brunt, it's time for your own legend to begin. One that will change the future of our home and our people. The primordial powers that came before have since been forgotten in the atrophy of time. Some believe these powers have been reborn. On your journey to seek the origin of this power, you will see the world as you have never seen it before, and uncover strength you did not know existed. I knew from the day I first found you that your connection to the world and its history was unique. So I took it upon myself to train you so you could fight and survive on your own. But it is you, Brunt, who must find the strength within yourself to protect all that you hold dear. Will you unlock this power? Will you become our hero? The path ahead will show you who you really are, and the hero you could become, as you forge your own primordial legend.